Hi, welcome everyone to this week's broadcast. And I have a special guest with me today, Afua Jørgensen, and who is a marriage coach. And we're going to talk with her in a minute. And we're going to talk about how a marriage that are having challenges affects other parts in our lives and also our business. And for you who don't know me, my name is Angela. I'm a converting event sales expert. And I go live every week in this group and in my group and on my social media. And I have different kind of guests with me. And today it's Claire. And I'm so excited to speak with you, Claire, because you have such an amazing story and you do such amazing job. So welcome, Claire. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you so much,
share
Angela.
a little bit? Yeah. So can you share a little bit for us who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do?
Okay, so thank you so much. So my name is Claire, as Angela has said, and I originally come from Ghana. I live in Denmark and I'm married to a Danish man, and we have two beautiful kids. And what I do is I boldly dare say that I help people to save their marriage or revive it, whichever one is preferred. And I work mainly with women because I have such an interest in women, but I do work with couples and I also do work with men as well. And the things that I use in my practice are things that I have learned along the way myself. And so it is based on neuroscience, psychology, and actually Christian faith. So that's me. Thank you.
You work as a marriage coach, and as you said, for both mainly women, right? What made you decide to do that, if I may ask?
So this is where the interesting story comes. So this started on the back of my own journey. So like I said, my husband and I are a mixed couple, and which meant that when we met and we were dating, we actually had challenges. Everybody has challenges in relationships, but we had challenges also related to culture and other things. But we were so in love that we conquered everything, and then we decided to be together. And so we expected that we are definitely gonna live happily ever after, because this was like one of those stories you read in the children's books which ends well. Except that life happened. So we had a lot of challenges. I mean, infertility was one. So there were challenges that were beyond our control, and challenges that were definitely not beyond our control. That was our own behaviors. So we ended up hitting a point where we couldn't figure it out. So we actually ended up getting divorced. And I remember, I remember, the time where we were divorced, where, we had this arrangement and the children go here to him for 1 week and they come to me. And I remember one day sitting down and looking at my life and thinking, is this what it is really going to be? Is this what it's going to boil down to? I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. We had an okay arrangement, actually. And we were sensible about it, even though we were both a little bit upset during the whole divorce process. But I just thought to myself, what if, even though we are divorced, we could still create something else, which is create a good relationship with each other. And I was not thinking about reconciling, as in coming back together at all, because I think at that time my husband even had a girlfriend. I had a new baby, so my focus was somewhere else. But I was thinking, what if we could still go for vacations together? Because we used to enjoy vacations together, the four of us. What if, we could even sometimes have Christmas together? Does it have to be like, every year the children go to him for Christmas 1 year, and then next year, and then so that year I am going to be seated alone? And actually that year I was alone by myself at Christmas time. So that may have been one of my triggers. I mean, a beautiful girlfriend of mine invited me home and everything, but it was still sad. It was not the same, Christmas without my kids and everything. So I started thinking about it. What if we could reconcile? So I started my own journey of reconciliation, and the target was, I wanted us to get to a good place where we actually liked each other, not in a marriage way, but we could actually still talk, we could still make good decisions, and we could have the children in in the middle of our decisions and still be able to come together and still be apart. And when I started this journey, this is where I will get this really big light bulb moments that actually most of the issues in the marriage, as I would have loved to think that it was all about him. He was terrible and he needed to change. And, you know, if he could just get a grip of himself, right? The marriage would be good. But I got a reality check when I was trying to reconcile that a lot of my issues were actually about me, you know, and that was a shocking revelation. So I realized how whenever he said things, it just affected me in a different way. And because I was pursuing reconciliation, I was attempting to see things differently. So that's how my journey started. And fast forward, after I decided to, you know, take charge of myself and the relationship between us, believe it or not, he adjusted in the way I needed him to be. And we ended up realizing, okay, let's try dating again. And then we remarried. So that's my crazy story. And afterwards, you know, I started feeling this, you know, I'll call it a call to help other women, because when I was in that situation, I got help from different coaches, but I realized that it was challenging for me to actually find the holistic solution that I was looking for. So I started offering myself to especially women that were in the situation that I was in. And, you know, time after time, everyone that I met, it seemed they were able to get their results that they wanted in their relationship, whether it was even infidelity or a partner had cheated or something had happened, they were still able to get back to a good place, get the marriage back together and enjoy, you know, their bliss in marriage. So I realized, okay, let me properly offer myself to more people. And so that's why I started this.
So it's almost like your calling, right? It was meant to be,
yes.
right? And
yes.
It takes a lot of courage to admit, and I think a lot of people can kind of relate to this, admit that it was from in here I needed to change. I didn't need to start change other people. I needed to start the transformation within. And it takes a lot of strength and a lot of guts to actually realize that, because it's easy, especially in a situation in a marriage or something, to blame the other partner, that the other person have all the faults and I have no issues, right?
Exactly.
And it takes a lot of strength to start work. And I think in everything in life, a lot of things starts within, right? But one thing that I also wanted to speak with you about, that one of the reasons why I love what you do so much, you do a lot of voluntary work, right? Both in Denmark, but also in your home original country, right?
In Ghana. Yes.
Can you share a little bit about that? Because I think it says so much about you. I just want to, that is why I wanted to talk a little bit about it.
Thank you. So when I started, so as part of my challenges in my marriage, I was quite convinced sometimes that I'm even being emotionally abused or, you know, whatever. And I'm not underestimating what abuse is in a relationship. But again, I found out that a lot of things have to do with how I position myself. So when I started coaching women, I realized that I came across a lot of people where, even though I am very interested in helping people save their marriages, there were some situations where I was like, something is off in this. The dynamics between the relationship, and it was on both sides, you know. So the woman, and I'm talking from a woman's point of view, and I'm not indicating that it doesn't happen to men, but I have a focus on women. And I realized that the woman had almost lost themselves in it, so much so that they were taking a lot of things that were just not okay. So there is a difference between my own, you know, self-esteem and everything somebody says affecting me. And therefore, I don't even know the difference between when people are giving me feedback and when people are crossing the line. And that was what was going on with a lot of people, that they had reached that place where they didn't even know the difference between what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So I got also interested in how to help people to stand up for themselves. And so this brought me to a place of starting looking into women and girls in abusive relationships. And like I said, because of what I was doing in marriage coaching, I did come across some of them. And I live in Denmark. So in Denmark, there are safe houses for people like that. The government has put things like that in place. There is actually a place to go to if you have a problem. So I started looking back at my home country, Ghana, and I realized that, there are some solutions, but there is the options for a woman or a young girl that is in an abusive place. It's a bit limited. So I started together with some other women, we have put together a safe house, and it's called the Pearl Safe Haven. And what we do is that we take women and young girls that are being abused, whether it's in marriage or in the family setup or whatever setup it is in, and we put them under our care, and we help them to find themselves again. And for some of them, put them in education. For some of them, put them in career training, or even set up a small business for them so that they can become financially independent, and they can also get over the trauma and then move on with their lives. So that's what I'm doing. And some of the stories are quite devastating. You would think that in 2024, you wouldn't hear some of these stories, but some of them are not very good. So we are very grateful that we get a chance to be part of the success of these young girls or women.
Yeah, such an important job. Such an important job. And that is why I wanted to kind of raise it, because it's kind of, it says so much about your entire personality as well, Claire. And a lot of people that are watching this are females, of course. I have a huge female entrepreneurial audience. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about you. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you when it comes to marriages, because there is a lot of women that are listening that might feel that there is a little bit shaking going on in the marriage. So what do you think is the biggest reason why a marriage that could be saved with the right kind of help still fails? Have you seen some kind of red thread here? What do you have to say about that?
Yes. So one of the things that I have seen the most is whether one person, and I say one boldly because that was also my story. Mind you, when my story was happening, like I said, my husband had found a girlfriend. His mind was not even on anything related to reconciliation or anything. It doesn't mean he was not a nice person, but that was not what he was looking at. So he was definitely not doing any job in that direction. So if what I've experienced is, if one person decides that I want to save it and I'm going to do the work, and the underlying word is I am going to do the work, because what happens is that the work that you will be doing is a lot of work on yourself, on your mindset. And, I will say this, it's to a large extent putting your ego aside. So for me, it was a lot about realizing that even if sometimes I felt I was right, I just, it was not necessary. I had to choose my battles. Because I wanted us to get to a good place. And getting to a good place is not arguing about everything and insisting I'm right. So I had to do the work. I had to bite my ego. I had to choose that it's not important to be right. And so if one person decides that I will do this at whatever cost it is, I am willing to put in the effort. Eventually, I always say that a marriage is a dance between two people. If you move to the left, the other person moves in the same rhythm as you. So when you change the rhythm in the marriage, it is impossible for the other person to also not change to fit the new rhythm in the marriage. But typically, the work that is involved in the initial stage, I'm not even going to undersell it here. It is hard work. It is a lot of hard work on yourself and how you interpret things between the other person. So there is a grinding period, which is challenging. Of course, if both parties decide they are going to do it, it goes very fast. But a lot of the time, we are both on different levels on the journey. That's part of the reason why we have issues. So expecting that when I start, the other person is also very quickly going to align is what creates the problem. So I will start and I'll be putting in some effort for a while where I may not necessarily see, the results yet. And then at some point, I will be getting the result. So it's that period that a lot of people give up along the way and say, I am just not interested. And that's fine. If you say, I'm just not going to do this work, that's fine.
Yeah, and I do understand that people, it's challenging, right? It's not going to happen overnight. It's not an overnight success, like also in business, the instant gratification. But that is also why you want to have someone on your side that helps you, right? That is why we seek help, is to be able to pull through those challenges that is going to raise when we try to fix things, right? And if we look at marriages that have challenges, it of course affects other parts in our lives, right? And both in our personal life, our friends, family, but also in our business, our job, our careers. How do you see that if you have a marriage over here that is challenging, how it actually can affect other parts of your life or your business?
Yes. So this is a very important question, and I love speaking to this question because our marriage is as healthy as the two of us as individuals are healthy. You cannot get a beautiful marriage or a very healthy marriage when two individuals that are, and I'm not talking about health as in physical health, I'm talking about emotional, mental health. So if my marriage is in a challenging place, it's very likely that as a person, I don't necessarily have my full strength with me. And I'm going to share my own example. So I remember in 2017, I got, this beautiful idea of starting this entrepreneurial thing. And it was even making money. So what I was doing was I had connected myself to a lot of artisans or people who work with their hands in Africa. So if you wanted, for example, a laundry basket, you could design it and they would make it for you handmade, and it will be like a young girl who is struggling, to take care of a single mother trying to take care of her child, but is very skilled. So I would connect you to this young girl. You see this young girl, you see what you are paying. You even see what I am making as a profit and what you are paying the young girl. And you will see, what she would have otherwise earned if you didn't buy it. And I was selling it to, because I lived in Scandinavia, to people in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and people were ordering it. It was really successful. So you would buy something, for example, for 100 krona, and to buy a basket for 100 krona for somebody living in Scandinavia, it means absolutely nothing. But for this young girl, that would have been what she would have earned the whole month, if you didn't buy just one. So imagine you bought 5 or you bought 10. And it was a beautiful idea. I was so excited about it. I I even took a period in between my work to do it. But my husband and I, our relationship was not at the best place. And my husband is, in the family, I am the risk taker. He's the sensible one. I say he's a sensible one. He's good with numbers. And he always looks at, it's good to do something for other people, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. So this is his mindset that, don't just stop your work and go and do something that you are helping other people, but you are going to be broke along the way. So he was looking into the business aspect of it and making calculations of how many baskets are you going to sell before you get even close to half of your normal salary in Denmark. And I had a very, I wouldn't say I had a low self-esteem, but everything he said at that time just really had a negative impact on me. So just because I didn't get him to jump around and say, hey, I was discouraged. Meanwhile, whenever we got an order, he was the one that was running to the post office, to sell it, to post the thing to the people, because then when the thing came, it came to me in Denmark and then I distributed it. So he was actually supporting me. But because of the challenges in the marriage and my own state of mind and my desperate desire for him to, be excited like I was, and we couldn't figure out how to talk properly together, I stopped. I actually stopped it and never moved on. Now, fast forward till today, where I am doing marriage coaching. I mean, this other thing that I was doing, there was even a proof of concept in place, and I was even already making money before I started, considering doing it. And at that time, websites like Etsy and things had not even come. So they were there, but they were not that, famous. So there was a huge opportunity, and I could have made a big thing for myself at that time. But because of my marital challenges as a woman, I didn't even have all the courage to fully go out and do what I could. fast forward today, when my husband and I, our marriage are in a good place, and I decide to quit my corporate job and, put my head into the pool to set up, a coaching business. And my husband still gives me honest feedback. It doesn't affect me the same way. We are able to talk about it. He's actually able to put his resources in it to support me and push me forward. But at the same time, I don't even care what he says. I mean, we are happy together. But if I tell him, oh, I'm gonna do a podcast and I'm saying I like this dress, and he says, I think maybe you should wear something else, I'll say, well, I like it, and then I'll wear it. And he's not affected, he's not offended, but I'm also fine. I don't care. So because the relationship is in a good place, he can give me honest feedback. I am capitalizing on his strengths. I am capitalizing on my own strengths, and I am in my own skin. And the business is not about my marriage. At that time, the business died because of my failing marriage. So my experience is that even if I decide that I am a good, I have a good business, or, I'm an amazing entrepreneur, and behind the scene, I have a troubled relationship, it sweeps in, it affects my confidence, it affects my ability to execute. So sometimes I'm doing things at 11 p.m. I may have forgotten to tell my husband I have something at 11 p.m. and then he just opens the door, I'm in the middle of something. But because we are in a good place, he can just close the door and go away. And maybe he'll say, oh, next time tell me. I'll say, okay. But in the past, that could have been a fight in the background whilst I'm having a podcast, and you would hear me having a fight in the background. So whether I see it directly or not, my experience is that for most people that I'm coaching, if they have their marriage in trouble like that, it sweeps into business. It sweeps into my ability to perform. It sweeps to a lot. So even if I'm performing now, I would have been able to perform much better. I would have a bit more peace and calm, and even be more creative in my business if I deal with what is in my backyard, which is my marriage.
Such an important conversations. We could go on forever, because I think this is a huge thing that a lot of actually female entrepreneurs that are starting out or are kind of finding their way through the entrepreneurial journey online can relate to this, right? They might have a marriage, they might have children, and it might be that they don't kind of realize how it actually affects the way that they run their business or opportunities or whatever. So it's such an important conversations to have in the open, because I think this is kind of a little bit shush around, right? We don't speak about this so much. I think this is huge important to bring this up to surface for everyone, men and women entrepreneurs, because it could be vice versa. Now you work mainly with women and my audience is mainly female, right? But it might be that a man that is listening now can actually relate to this as well. So you have, I want to talk a little bit, because you have a free program coming up that I would like to invite my audience to participate in. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to ask you for a tip for the audience. We're going to end with that, okay? So you have a free program coming up, the Marriage Mastery. Can you share a little bit first who this is for, this program, and what it is that you're going to do, and how long it is and when it starts, so people can kind of wrap their heads around it?
Yes. So this course is, I've called it Marriage Mastery, Your Path to Independence and Renewal. And it is ideal for women. It's actually mainly for women who are interested in or committed to improving their personal well-being and thereby improving their marriage and want to be empowered. And we will do things that will give you some actionable steps to overcome feelings of being drained, being tired, or not being able to navigate certain issues in your marriage. And we would like to do all this without you feeling this drastic need to choose between your life goals and your marriage, because sometimes we are in that place where we think, if I stay in this marriage, I'm not going to make it, or I'm not going to be happy. So if I want to be happy, I want to leave. And for most of us, we actually don't want to leave. So we are going to deal with some of these underlying issues, and it's ideal for women that are in that place. Now, this course is a course that will have a few aspects. Because it's 4 weeks, it has 4 main aspects of it. The first one is self-empowerment. So like I said, I empowered myself to be able to, get myself to a good place. And whether I saved my marriage or not, that was not the most important outcome. The most important outcome is I got me to a good place. And when I then got to a good place, I realized that, oh, wow, the marriage was actually easily savable. So that's empowering yourself so that you feel confident to make whatever decision is right for you in the relationship, whatever that is. And then the second thing is, believe it or not, we are going to deal with financial issues in marriage. As I was sharing my own story, right now, as I'm here, I have, I'm starting a new business and we are winning. So we are making some good sales. And I've also worked with Angela actually on one-on-one before. So she's helped me to get my sales pipeline through. But at the same time, I have this peace of mind, as a woman, independence in my marriage. So being financially independent as a woman in marriage is absolutely critical. It doesn't mean that my husband and we are hiding things. We are not, we are very open, but I am fine as I am in my rights as a woman. So we will deal with that as well. And then the other aspect is conflict resolution, because for most of us, we just need some tips to figure out how to talk about problems so that we can get over the bump that we are on. And then finally, it is also being able to create your path forward. What is it that I want to do? So make some concrete decisions for yourself. You don't have to make a dramatic decision. I want to stay or I want to leave, but make some small concrete steps. What is the next thing that I can do to move me from where I am to a better place? So that's what we'll be covering in 4 weeks. And it will be online, and it will be from the 4th of March to the 31st of March. And we are going to be having a great time as women together and building this beautiful community of women that want to stay in their marriage or make the right decision for their marriage.
I think it's amazing that it's a small kind of a community, because then you have others that are feeling the same, and everybody is on the kind of a safe place, right? And I think that is really, really important. So make sure that we're going to share the link. So the link is programs.marriagewithchrist.com/free course. I'm going to add the link so below this video, so you can just go below this video and you have the link to sign up. And it's a free 4-week course. And take this opportunity, because this is a huge opportunity to actually join this free kind of it's like a coaching program actually, and it's totally for free. And if you feel that you resonate with Claire, what Claire says, and you feel like you want to be in a better place and start working from within, but also have Claire to guide you, this is a huge opportunity. And that is why one of the reasons I really wanted to talk about this, because I think it's such an important subject to talk about, and it talks too little about it, because people just say, yeah, you need to be independent as a woman, you need to stand up for yourself. Yeah, it's easy to say, not so easy sometimes for everyone to do. And when we don't talk about that, because it looks like you are either failing or you're not strong enough as a woman or whatever. And I think we need to raise these issues. And so that is why I would love everyone to join, right? So the link is below. And I wanted to, one last question for you, and then I'm gonna let you go. And by the way, I'm gonna add all Claire's social links and all the things about Claire, so you can connect with her below this video as well. If you want to support her work, or you want to work with her in other ways, you can just connect with her. Okay, so I'm going to add that below. But one last question for you: can you give the audience that are listening one small little thing, whether they are struggling in the marriage or not struggling in marriage, doesn't matter, one small thing that they can do to strengthen their marriage or relationship?
Yes. So my answer would be, or my tip would be, that be selfish and invest in your well-being. And what I mean by that is that every day, make sure that you are doing something that, the way we go to the gym to work out our, physical muscles, we are also almost always training our mental muscles. So every day, be deliberate in training your mental muscles, as in doing something that is good for you mentally, long term. And once you're doing that, you are actually wiring yourself or rewiring yourself to be able to have good relationships. So it is all about you, and it's all about where you are in the relationship. And so be selfish and invest in yourself, but more importantly, in your mental muscles, which means conversations that are not useful, be deliberate about, running away from them. And conversations that are amazing, join amazing conversations, be deliberate in choosing them for yourself.
Thank you so much. And if you feel like you kind of feel alone, you don't know who to have a conversations with, connect with Claire. Join her free program or send her a direct message, okay? Because she's there, right? Because it can be a lonely road, because people around you might look really successful or look really happy or whatever, and you feel like, yeah, I can't come here with my issues and start talking about them, and you feel really alone. Here is your opportunity, okay? For everyone that feels I am the only one, connect with Claire, okay?
Exactly.
So thank you so much. It has been a pleasure, and I really hope that we can come back and I can have you back on the show, because I would love to hear also the results of your free program and the transformation of these women's mindset and health and marriages. So I'm really excited. Okay. So thank you so much, Claire. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you are watching, I will be back next week, so stay tuned. So thank you, everyone, and nice to have you watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.